Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 11th episode of Games Gonna Make It. So usually we put up, games to for the audience to discuss whether this game is gonna make it or not gonna make it. But that is up to you to decide, right? So today we'll be having guests from the Mighty Bear Game Studio, and they've developed a game called Mighty Action Heroes. So if you guys are familiar with top-down shooter games, this is that is their genre, and it's a 20 player in one map fighting for the number one spot. Okay, so I'm Gaius, the head of gaming for PathDAO. And without further ado, let's invite the co-founder and head of art from Mighty Bear Games, Ben Chevalier, on the stage to introduce himself.
Well, hey everyone, and thanks for having me. It's I'm super excited. So yeah, I'm one of the co-founders at the studio, and we're, as you said, we're making Mighty Action Heroes. I definitely hope that we're gonna make it. I'm pretty sure we will, but I'll let the community decide. As I said, it's what matters. And yeah, I've been in the industry for about 20 years now. It's been a pretty long time making games. I'm originally an art director. I've done a lot of stuff with the studio, from different type of roles under growth, as well as on the art side, a bunch of strategy related works as well. But yeah, I'm a 2 times founder as well. So I had a previous gaming startup, made a bunch of mistakes, which was really useful for co-founding Mighty Bear Games. And the studio itself was founded in 2016. A group of game veterans. We were all working at a King Studio in Singapore. All of us come from likes of Ubisoft, Disney, Gameloft, Lucas, fairly large studios, and we met up there. King was acquired by Activision Blizzard. They decided to move everybody else to everyone back to Europe. We decided to stay, and we started Mighty Bear Games. We were just 8 people. We started making an MMORPG. That was not a great idea because it's a very small team to do that, a bit ambitious. But at the same time, we were talking to Apple, and they asked us to pitch them content for their new platform, the Apple Arcade platform, their subscription platform, which we've done. We've made Battle Royale, which was a Battle Royale game, original IP, and a game called Disney Mania with Disney themselves. It was a MOBA. And we're generally pretty experienced, and I hope pretty good at making true cross-play experiences that are pretty approachable, real-time multiplayer, competitive, kind of experiences. We call that coffee break esports. That's kind of the term that we like to use for that. So very like on-the-go kind of competitive experiences. We like emerging tech, so I will talk probably a little bit more about this, obviously, a little bit later with the Mighty Action Heroes. And we got into Web3 fairly early on. So now we're 40 people in the studio working on the game itself and developing the MightyNet ecosystem at the same time. So sorry, that was a lengthy introduction, but that's where we came from. That's where we're at now. And yeah, we're super stoked to be in the space.
Cool. So are the team mostly based in Singapore, like even the development team?
So at the moment, yeah, we have, I would say, maybe 60-70% of the team in Singapore, and then people in all over the place in APAC, Japan, Indonesia, Vietnam, people in Europe as well, Germany, Italy, and I think we had people in England at some point as well. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, before we begin the questions regarding Mighty Action Heroes, let's play a trailer that the team have provided. Wow, cool trailer. I mean, I personally played the game. I enjoyed it, and I think our community will really enjoy it as well. Because I'm not sure whether you know there was another Web3 game that is similar to what you guys have built, but it's only 4 person in one map. A little bit like a battle royale fighting for the first place as well. It's called Katina Royale. So our community actually topped the leaderboard for 10 weeks, almost 10 weeks in a row. So I'm sure they are pretty excited about this as well, right?
I would hope so. And I mean, now you're going to fight like 19 other people. So.
Yeah, it's really fun, and the map is really big. So there's a lot to monitor about, and yeah. Okay, so let's start with the first question, right? So I really want to know what inspired you guys to develop, Mighty Action Heroes. Like, could you share the story behind its inception and what motivated you guys to actually create this genre, create this team, and the whole package itself?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Of course. Love that. The inception of Mighty Action Heroes. So it was a pretty special project for us because that's the first Web3 project that we built, and so it's a bit more than a year ago. We were seeing Axie's success, coming up, blockchain gaming being essentially kind of establishing itself as we don't know what shape it's going to have in a year or 2 years from now, but it's part of the future of gaming. That's definitely part of that. And so we had a choice to make. We're like, are we going to just look at things happening and we're not being part of it, and we're going to have to kind of like catch up with the studios that actually embraced Web3 in a year from now and run behind, or are we going to try to go and lead into the space? And we decided to just jump in because that's how much we believe in Web3 in general for games. So that's kind of like the intention and how we sort of kickstarted the project. But then how did we come up with Mighty Action Heroes itself, the theme, and even the genre? Well, it's going to be a little bit like technical, but it's we essentially used very high level guidelines generally with the team. We had everyone pitching ideas, and the guidelines were we want something that is free to play, that is Web3, of course, right? But free to play first, cross-play, social, competitive. So these were really important elements that we needed to have in all the pitches. And based on that, fairly rational approach, we made a decision-making matrix that we've generally used for other games as well. And we look at elements and dimensions such as, market potential, the ability to create viral content, spend depth, what kind of audience are we targeting, competitors as well, like how is the landscape. So all of these things were kind of like scored, on the sort of board, and we ended up with a battle royale with a deep Web3 meta as like one of the greatest ideas there. There were a few others, but that one really caught up. And we wanted something where people could play and be very attached to their characters in the battle royale. So we started thinking about what kind of theme could work really well for that, and we ended up thinking of the 80s action heroes movies, because we just keep referencing these things in the studio in general, but also because I'm 40-year-old, and so that's my childhood, the 80s 90s action hero movies. So I'm for a while when I was a kid, I was like living and breathing Terminator, Alien, and all the characters at the time, like Arnie, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, and I think so it's not just for my generation. There is also an aspect which is for younger, maybe like 20 plus audience. It's like there's a retro vibe and taste and flavor to it that is kind of, I think, seeing a sort of revival. You always have these cycles, right? And right now we're in one of these cycles where you see like the Expendables, for example, coming up. It's like it's clearly a reference to those oldies, 80s action hero movies. So what we've done as well in terms of inspiration that was important to us when we started the game is we wanted to make a global title with more regional flavors as well. So for example, we have a character that is inspired by Ting from Ong Bak. So it's like, Thai movie, but traveled really well. And we have, for example, a character inspired by Pandian, which is it's an Indian movie from the 70s, I think, so a little bit older, and it's a policeman with a huge mustache. So it's like and big, sunglasses, and it's a super famous character in India, and we're like super excited of kind of creating something that would be very inspired by that character without being a copy. Like none of the characters that we have are one-to-ones, but are very inspired by the flavors of those stories and characters of the time.
Cool. I think one point you highlighted is the character that people enjoy to be. So I think I have one question is that, so I personally have the Big Bad Syndicate collection. I think I have 5 of
Correct.
them. And I want to know when can I actually have the character in game and play? Would that be a feature in the future that the PFP will become a character that we can use?
This is part of the roadmap. Yes, it's part of the roadmap. I won't be able to give you an actual timeline for that. We have to always consider priorities on the roadmap. So it's been on the roadmap for a while, but I won't be able to give you an actual timing. But I definitely want to do that. We have the concepts, by the way. We already have the concepts done. We just need to get into production when the time comes.
Great. That's great to hear. All right, so I'm going to jump into a more, okay, before I ask this, for those who are here now, feel free to ask questions because, this GMI is for you guys, right? What kind of question you said, like want Ben to answer, feel free to ask it, right? I'm sure he try his best to answer it. Okay, so I'm jumping into a more,
I will.
Because we are in Web3 space, right? So just, besides developing a game, you guys would, want to innovate the Web3 space, leveraging the blockchain technology. I really want to hear, what's Mighty Bear Games thought on, the innovation of, how do you guys incorporate, Mighty Action Heroes onto the blockchain technology as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So how did we integrate that? So I think from the exercise that I mentioned earlier, this kind of like grid the decision making, we're like, okay, we need, it's going to be a Web3 title, and there has to be attached to it a very deep meta. So we have a very, thriving economy on the back of that. What was important for us as well was that the experience that people will have, the players will have with the meta, has to influence the in-game experience itself. So it can be something completely detached. It has to be something like I can craft my gadget and I can bring my gadget into the battle. I can craft my perks and bring them. I can level up my heroes like separately and maybe like, add different kind of equipments and bring that into the game again. So that was like very important for us. But then in this case, all of these assets, we had to find a way, to put them on chain, but we also did not want to alienate, players who are not completely familiar with blockchain. And so there are some players, a lot of players actually, who just don't have a wallet. They don't know what it is to sign a transaction. So part of the challenge for us in specifically around Web3 was to have a deep opt-in, on-chain experience that we could offer to players who are familiar with that, but also a part of the game that was entirely playable, for players who just don't know any of these things, and onboard them. That's like, that's the main objective of I think a lot of the games right now in the space, which is how can we onboard, those Web2 players who just don't really know, about Web3, and how can we make it in a very kind of frictionless kind of way, right? I don't want to tell them how to sign a transaction. Maybe we don't even have to do that. And so we have a system of import and export, where you can export your assets on chain when you decide that you want to trade, for example, and then re-import them. So anything that you would buy on secondaries or whatnot, you can re-import them, into the game. So we have a platform dedicated to that in the ecosystem. And then in terms of the innovation part that you mentioned, I think just having a very deep meta with upgradable items that can be brought on chain, for a battle royale, that's pretty new. I don't think there is any other game right now doing really that. And for me, it's there is a real sense of almost like an MMORPG kind of experience, but like a very broad one. And it's like it's very like it's not just into the game. It's like it's much because it's Web3, right? It's like much bigger than that. People can go and trade on any kind of marketplaces they want once the game is once the asset is exported. So it's very, very unique. And I think the final thing that is very important to me with Web3 in general is the transparency, because it's on chain, and the accountability that comes with that. So for us, like, we can't just do nonsense, balancing or whatnot. We have to be very careful with that. We have to be very respectful of, the investment essentially that our community is making in terms of time, or sometimes in terms of, financials. And I feel like this accountability is really good for a developer. It's not something that we've experienced before, and I just love it.
Great. I think so far, like you guys have mentioned import and export, right? I think I'm just throwing an idea here. I've actually seen one game. What they do is that we haven't seen the concept, the actual product yet. But what they can do is that if an item drops, it's an MMORPG. So when an item drops, if it's rare and it's supposed to be an NFT, the moment it drops into your account, it's reflected into your on-chain wallet. So that was a really cool concept that I really hope to see more games adopt, because
okay.
Yeah, maybe
That's
you guys
cool.
should look into it. It is pretty cool. Yeah.
We might be able in the future to do something like this if we can make that compatible with the Play Store. We have to make it Play Store compliant as well. So a part of the approach is to make sure that we can bring it to the Play Store, we can bring it to the App Store. But regulations are changing, and Google right now is really working on, okay, what can we do with blockchain apps or blockchain powered experiences. Games is one of them, and we definitely can see that there is room for a real conversation right now to happen. So that could happen. What you just mentioned, it is a real possibility at some point that we may be able to do that. I would love to.
Yeah, because even like Xe got listed on Apple a few months back. So I think that's a major breakthrough for a Web3 game.
Absolutely.
They're leading the competition with Apple, and I'm sure that will help a lot of upcoming Web3 games as well.
Absolutely, they've been leading the way for a while, and as I said, they were like a main inspiration for us to be like, yeah, there's something there, and clearly they're successful at that. And being on the Play Store, we have an APK now, and we should have the game on the Play Store mid-September, so pretty soon. We're working with Google, directly to understand how we can make that happen. And of course, we got to thank Xe for starting the conversation and putting gaming on the map, right? Like Web3 gaming is a real thing, so it's really cool.
Yep, I think you just answered one of our audience question. Where was it? I saw someone asked whether it is a cross-platform game.
So it is cross-platform, and it's cross-play more specifically, which means that you can start your session, on one device and pick up your session on another one. So you can play on your computer a little bit later on, during commuting, and then go back to your computer. So it's fully cross-play.
Right, there you have it. You don't need a PC if you do not have one, or if you're outside,
Absolutely.
just on a vacation, you want to play like a 3 to 5 minutes game. Just
or
have it on your
queuing for a coffee or something. Yeah, no problem. Waiting for the bus, you can.
That's great. So, because for me, right, I always have this concept whereby I only have 24 hours of my time in a day, right? So I have a rhythm of life whereby I need an attraction to really play another game, because I only have this amount of slots every day. So having this on mobile actually makes it more flexible wherever I can play, not just when I'm in front of my PC, right? And sometimes PC means I'm doing work most of the time in front of PC. So yeah, it's great to have a break.
Nothing prevents anyone from spending an hour in the game, right? But you just described my life essentially, which is I just don't have much time. So yeah, 5-minute sessions is great for that. I like the idea of playing on the go and short sessions whenever I have time.
Great. So
busy
I think
people.
we are, busy people, and you can attract the the working force, and they are probably one of your main customers, because they have the spending power, but they don't have enough time. So if a game requires you to play hours, I'm sure this guy wouldn't invest their time and money into the game.
You just articulated a part of the strategy. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna review our secret code 1, which is MBG, which stands for their Studio Mighty Bear Games. So Ben, just as a you might be wondering what the secret code is for. It's for them to submit into a form that let us know that they're actually here, and then they'll get some loot boxes from us, which contains our path tokens. So it's just a small reward for them to watch the GMI. All right. I'm gonna try to pick one more question from our audience. I think right. So last ask: is there any mode besides Battle Royale in the future?
In the future, 100% yes. It's being designed at the moment. We consciously chose to focus on a single mode at the moment, but absolutely there will be more modes. In all likeliness, we're at the moment thinking of making an arena kind of mode, but we'll have a lot of probably also like how do you call that? time limited kind of modes as well, like for the weekend or whichever way we're going to design that. But absolutely, we've done that for Battle Royale. We've done that for Disney Millimania as well, and it's a great way to keep people entertained and refreshed every time they play the game.
Yeah, I think the daily ops is the one that actually keeps the game alive, because nobody wants to play the same
Absolutely.
game all over again, and it needs to add spice
Absolutely.
every day or every week. Something new has to come out.
Exactly.
Right. So let me see what else. Okay, so why do you think Battle Royale is more suited for Web3? I'm not sure whether you've answered this, but I really want to know, like, why Battle Royale for Web3? Why not MMORPG for Web3, or why not certain genre for Web3?
Yeah, no, this is a great question. I touched a little bit on this earlier. I think one of, at least to me, and when we were thinking about what project to move forward with for a Web3 title, we knew that we wanted something that would be highly competitive, that would be something that people can understand the rules of very simply, very quickly. We wanted to make that part of the experience very straightforward so that people could focus quickly on the meta part of things. So the core loop had to be very straightforward, and a battle royale is perfect for that. Last man standing or woman standing on the map, you win. You do whatever you have to do in the meta, and you go back into the core game loop. And so first, that was great for that. It allows for super engaging, short sessions as well, having a sense of progression every time you pick up your device. So that was a great, genre for that. And then, yeah, like as I said, the meta is related to the progression in the game itself. So for us, it made a lot of sense to use a battle royale type of core game loop for a Web3 title.
Great. Okay, I'll ask one more question from the audience. So Lars again, he asks, if it's cross-platform, how do you make balance on the game between mobile and PC easier? Since it's skill-based game, and I've experiencing both devices. I'm not sure about last what does he mean by the end of the sentence, but yeah, how do you balance between PC and mobile?
It's an excellent question. So that's a question for the designers, but essentially, like really high level, we're just making sure through the design of the controls themselves, the sensitivity of the controls on the device, the field of view as well, depending on what device you're playing on, and all of these things. We're just making sure that we don't give an advantage to either the PC based players compared to the mobile players. Like the specifics of this, only a designer could get into this, like how technically this is achieved. But essentially, that's through playtest, right? We're playtesting all the players, as the question is, right about this. Suggest all the players are pulled together when we play. So we're just making sure that the experience is as good on mobile and on PC, and there is no advantage given to any of those platforms. Again, something that we have experience with because of the previous crossplay games that we've made, and we even had more platforms actually in the previous titles where we had to do touch, like iPad. We had to support controllers on the TV, controllers on the PC. So we had all that stuff, and we made a fairly fair experience for all of the platforms. But only the community can tell, right? Like that's my opinion right now. But only the community can tell if it's fair or not. So we're all ears, right? If people feel it's not balanced well, then we'll adjust.
Yeah, so I think because we are gonna have a game night 2 days from now, which is on the 19th of August, 9 p.m. UTC +8, which is Malaysian time, Singaporean time, right? That the APK is ready. So if you have a mobile, download it. Have a friend who has a PC, play it. If you guys are at equal level playing field, then let's see who plays better, right? And maybe you guys can take turns to even try whether PC is better, mobile is better. So yeah, we have a game night in 2 days. So hop on to our Discord, right, to know more about it. We're giving out $50, a very small prize pool. But I think I'm not sure. I think Mighty Action Heroes would have a tournament coming up. I'm not sure whether you guys have shared it, or do you want to share it now, or you just gonna wait for the announcement?
I don't think we have announced it yet. So you're right. Yeah. There is a tournament coming up, but I won't be able to share a lot more about it yet. But there is. Yes.
So you guys know what to do. Go to their Twitter, follow them, so that the moment they post it, it's when
Thank you.
you know, okay. I'm not gonna reveal it either. I only know there's a tournament coming, right?
Absolutely, it will be revealed very soon. And yeah, please follow us. So in the previous tournaments that we had recently, there were cash prizes. I'm not sure. Please follow us, but I'm not sure if there is a cash prize for this one. There may be, there may not be, but yeah, just keep an eye on our Twitter, join our Discord, and thanks a lot for the shout out for that, because that's really important. I forgot to mention that.
No worries. All right. So I think, let's see whether I have any more questions from this side. Okay. I think this is more technical. I'm not sure whether you have the answer. Someone asked specification required. So I guess, do they need a very high-end PC to play? Do they need, a very high-end mobile to play?
Right.
I'm sure most of them have not tried the game. Hopefully, the next 2 days they'll be able to play.
So I do not have the specifications required from the top of my head. I can say that we focused a lot on low-end devices, and we have 3 levels of quality that we can choose from to ensure that everyone has a really smooth experience playing the game. Now, for the actual specifications, I would encourage people to go. I think we should have that in the light paper that is linked on our website or in our Discord. Actually, you'll have the link there, and you should be able to find the specifications for each platform.
Great. So I think any game that could have played Titan Arena, last time, one of the
100%.
I'm not sure they know Titan. Whoever that can play Titan on their phone or even XC, right? You probably can play the Mighty Action Heroes
Absolutely.
on your phone. Yep.
Absolutely.
And also the PC is a browser game, so you can expect the specs not to be too high because it's not a client game. So right. Yeah, so you don't need to download anything. Even if you want to play it now, I think you can. You just need, I don't know what's the link, but you can go to their Discord and click on they have one link there on the official links.
Yes.
So I don't you guys be
you
safe.
can go to mightyactionheroes.com and that will bring you to the client right away.
Great. So mightyactionheroes.com. All right. So, we would like to keep things short because everyone, has probably 20-30 minutes of attention span and then they'll zone out. So before we close this, let's have secret code 2. It's Mighty Bear, which we'll flash out now. All right. So I think, before we close this, Ben, do you have any last words for our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely to be here. I'm very much excited by what PathDAO is working on. I think what we would really love is to get the feedback. We're early; it's an early version. The APK is an early version. We're still in open beta, so the most valuable thing that we can get is really some feedback to improve on the game and bring a much better experience to the broader audience. So yeah, please play the game. Tell us how you feel. And it's okay if you don't like it, and if you feel like things are broken, just let us know, and we'll adjust. So thanks a lot for being part of that AMA and for hopefully playing the game in a few days.
Thank you, Ben. I think one of the spirit of Web3 is you guys are very close in touch with the developers. Take this opportunity to let the developers know what do you guys really want in the game, right? So I'm sure they'll take your word for it because we are more community centric, being Web3. So right, Absolutely. So we're gonna close it. Thank you so much, Ben, for your time, and thank you everyone else who have stayed with us. So see you guys in our game night. Join their Discord. Join our Discord. Thank you. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.